time to turn to the racing front. And for that, we're going to bring in Yahoo Finance's Pras Subramanian. And Pras, I got to tell you, e-racing finally returning to New York. I didn't know it was a thing here in the first place, but you tell us about it.
Yeah, Jared, after a shortened season last year because of COVID, the Formula E Racing Series is back in New York this weekend. They've actually been racing in New York since, I think, 2017. So that race has been happening in Brooklyn. For the brands, it's kind of a big deal. And for the teams, we spoke to Mercedes team principal Ian James about this, why the team is so excited, but also the brand. Take a listen.
It's a real privilege to be back here in New York City. I was here back in season 4 and season 5. We're now in season 7, and for us as Mercedes, this is the first time, as you rightly say, that we've been here in this iconic city. So incredibly excited.
You mentioned season 7 here. You guys having a good season, leading the championship. Talking about how it's going and how it's unfolding.
Yeah, I mean, Formula E is living up to its reputation as being the most unpredictable motorsport series in the world. There's no doubt about that. We had a pleasingly strong start at the beginning of the season, which is always great because it means you can prove that you've got the package that it takes to be competitive. Following on from that, in the mid-season, we've had a couple of races which definitely haven't gone our way, and we now need to recover from that. There are 6 races left in this particular championship, so all to play for, and it's incredibly tight at the top. If I remember correctly, there's some 14 points separating the top 5 teams, so it's going to stay open to the end.
Ian, I know you're on you're in the live pit lane. There's a lot of sound and things going on there, so our audience to bear with us here. But talking about the audience, we're seeing the return of actual fans in the stands, joining you guys at the venues. What's that been like, and how are you guys kind of liking that, responding to that?
Yeah, with the fans, if I understand you correctly, and again, apologies from my side, it's pretty noisy down here in the pit lane. But I mean, we've obviously over the past 12, 18 months, it's been a difficult period because of the pandemic. But we're now starting to see the fans coming back again. There's going to be fans here this weekend at New York, which is fantastic to see. And hopefully we can put on a great show for them. I mean, at the end of the day, Formula E provides something unique. It's the pinnacle of electric motorsport. And what we're seeing here at the moment is that we're not only getting the traditional motorsport fans, but we're also getting a whole new demographic. People who maybe haven't been involved in motorsport before, but live here in the city, want to come down and see something new and exciting. And hopefully they get bitten by that motorsport bug as well.
You mentioned it being the pinnacle of motorsports. Talk to me about the actual Gen 2 race car. I know that the battery pack is shared amongst all the teams, but it's everything beyond that that's new and different. That's where you guys can innovate. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So the battery, as you say, is common across all teams. The chassis as well is common, which is why you see the cars look very similar apart from the liveries. But at the rear of the car, the powertrain, which is really the heart of any racing car, together with the rear suspension and rear structure, that's all developed by the manufacturers themselves. So we have complete authority over how that's then developed within the regulations. And that's something that's unique to Mercedes. So we've taken the knowledge that we've built up over the years, especially in Formula One with the energy recovery system that you have there. And we've taken that knowledge really and put it into the Formula E car as well. So the powertrain at the moment is performing well. And as I said before, we're hopeful for a strong end to the season as well.
From the road car side of the business, you used to work at Mercedes at the Tuscaloosa plant here in the States. You know that side of the business. As they push into EVs, how important is the Formula E team, and how does it come into play there?
Well, as you say, there's this seismic shift throughout the whole world at the moment towards electric mobility as a sustainable form of mobility. And where I come from, where I live in the UK, by 2030, you're only actually going to be able to buy fully electric vehicles. So the combustion engine vehicles will no longer be available to the public. And that's a huge change in the overall landscape of the automotive industry. So what we've got with Formula E is not only a marketing platform that we can use to promote the portfolio that we're going to be developing and bringing out over the years, but motorsport's always been for us a test bed. It's an opportunity for us to really push the boundaries of the technologies. So what I expect to see over the next years is us really sort of testing out those kind of new materials, the new technologies, the new processes, making the cars as efficient as we possibly can do, learning from that, and then that learning being transferred across to the road cars as well. So for us, it's just part and parcel of why we're involved in motorsport. And I think that Formula E really does provide a very authentic platform for that.
Yeah, guys. So, we saw earlier today with the EU kind of coming out with that draft legislation, but how they want to make zero emission cars by 2035 mandatory. So it's a big push. It's an aggressive timeline. And I think guys like Ian at Mercedes, he kind of understands that they need to have this technology transfer, both from the race team to the road car business and from the road car business to the racing to really be successful as the automotive world changes.
And Pras, going along those lines, just talking about the broader push that we're seeing into electric vehicles, we just got the announcement from Stellantis this week about their $35 billion investment into electrification. I guess, what can you tell us about that and just how it stacks up from some of the other automakers and the plans that we've heard from them?
So Stellantis, the former FCA or Fiat Chrysler, had their EV day this week, and they're kind of lagging behind the other brands, that being Ford and GM, and outlining their plans. But they did, better late than never, right? So a few things that I want to touch on. So they teased they're calling it the world's first electric muscle car. They're saying they're not making EVs, they're making muscle cars. So it's going to be probably a Challenger with a souped up electric motor and maybe some cool lighting in the front. They're also going to electrify the Ram 1500 pickup, which also is big news. Now, that's not going to come out till 2024, which is much later than Ford's Lightning electric pickup, which is, many people are very excited for it, including a lot of truck owners. Also, they said that the Jeep brand, which is one of their most successful brands, is going to electrify the entire range of SUVs with their 4xe moniker, which means it's plug-in hybrid. I know, Shauna, you're a big Jeep person, so you might want to keep an eye on that. And finally, they teased an electric car, a Chrysler electric car. They showed some imagery of it. We don't know much about it, but it'll probably be like a Model 3 type of competitor.
Thanks for all that. Pras Subramanian, Yahoo Finance's own. We're going to see you. We'll see you next week. I'm sure we will.